President Mahama took over, and with the goodwill of the people and her political will to confront this, the first statement he made was to make sure that there was no new licenses to be issued, especially into our forest reserves. This is because an LI was passed, 2462, that at a point allowed more than 30 companies to go into our forest reserves in the name of mining. And they were not only mining, but they were doing most of these things inappropriately. Then, so having taken that first step out of about 9, which I want to outline, that alone was not enough. But at least it allowed you the leverage to be able to watch the space and tell that no new licenses. And as a result of that, as I speak with you, the Deputy Lands Minister, who chairs a committee to review over 2,748 licenses, 55 has been revoked instantly, 316 found to be clean, and 907 at the risk of being revoked as well too. Now, to further...
And about a dozen new ones issued, right?
No new ones. That's I'm telling you, no new licenses has been issued ever since President Mahama took office. Then further, in the past, excavators used to just pass through our ports and no registration, no records. Now, we are making sure that these are registered with the DVLA. They are going to be tracked and properly geofenced in order to ensure for efficient monitoring. Then the Sector Minister, Honorable Emmanuel Kofi-Boa, who doubles also as Caretaker Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, and MP for Elembele, further kicked in motion a letter to the Attorney General that, look, we need to repeal the LI 2462, which the Attorney General made a vow just last Friday in the meeting with the CSOs that on 14th October, which was when the Parliament was supposed to sit, and now it's been postponed though, but at the next sitting of Parliament, that was a major document to be presented for consideration. Then also there were 9 forest reserves that were breached. I mean, that were a no-go, declared as red zones at the time we took over. But as we speak now, that have all been repossessed by government through its effort with NIMOS and the security agencies. Further, the minister has again declared water bodies and our forest reserves as security zones. These are semblance of security measures being taken to ensure we nip this in the bud. One may suggest that you should have just issued all of this at a go. But, well, that may not always be right. Some may also argue for it. You cannot take out the fact that having done all of these, it then now boils down to enforcement also to serve as a major deterrent to those who are engaged in this enterprise, which is environmentally impacting negatively and affecting all of us sitting here. Because even if water is put before us, no matter how clean it is, based on turbidity, it does not necessarily mean that it is very healthy for our consumption. To borrow the words of my brother to my left, when we are now asked to take balanced diets or balanced meals, we are not careful, we are now taking balanced poison.
Yeah.
You get it. And so we all know of this, and nobody can rule this out. And I have always practically made this example I want to state here again. You may be in my own hometown in Amfoigan or Abo in the Volta region somewhere and feel you are not so concerned. But look at this example. You are somewhere, there's no galamsey, etc. You think you have clean water. You have a daughter who is maybe 10 years, 12 years, definitely expected to marry in the next 20 years. Now, maybe the gentleman he is supposed to marry in the next 20 years comes from the Western North. And that child has just been born.
Your child will go to secondary school in Cape Coast.
And it's been born with defect, and maybe a year or so later loses the life. When your child is no longer getting married after 30 years, 40, 50, you will be blaming nature and blaming all the witches in your house, saying that your daughter is not. Maybe you're not being concerned about that which was happening over there. It's also a result. So we must all be concerned. As if that is not enough, the introduction of the NIMOS, National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, headed by one Colonel Dominic Boer, is aimed at coordinating the efforts to make sure we have just a single task force to fight this battle. Reason being that in the past we have had Operation Vanguard, Operation Halt, this and that, the police, etc. Some became a compromised force just to extort or perpetrate other actions other than what they were expected to do. But when you have a singular task force doing this, it means that everybody do not constitute unto yourself law that I am national security, I am this, I am that. When you have any snippet of information, the best thing to do is to report that or hint the NIMOS. So they can do that. I'm sure we are all aware. I think even yesterday, for instance, there were similar operations in the Ankobra at Pristiahoni Valley, in even Ahunyafotu, and so many places. They are doing this. Now, what are we doing differently from the current regime? This time round, from the previous regime, this time round, these NEMOs comprising the armed forces, the immigration, the police, the NACOC, NSB, etc. This time round, these men and women will be deployed to these places permanently and on rotational basis until further notice. It is to make sure that you do not go there, then cure the problem there, retreat, and then the guys also get back again. So yes, NIMOS is now coming to do something new, and I am not surprised that they're receiving commendation and applause for what they are doing. I will even be the first person to say here now that that alone is not enough, because we are expecting more. We are expecting more because the Ghanaian want to start seeing the water body clean. But I must say emphatically that seeing the water body clean alone is not enough, because there are heavy metals contained in that water. Aquatic life has been completely killed. The water quality has been compromised. That feeds into the soil, which has also affected the fertility. Crop yield is then affected. Then that is where the burden on our health becomes a major concern. Crop quality. And it also means that it is putting a burden on government expenditure on health. So we may now be looking at having to set up mine hospitals or mine-related hospitals to address these matters. Then also there's a concern about alternative livelihoods for these people. One will say that each time you try to talk of livelihoods for these alternative livelihoods for these people, you are not saying anything, because whatever you are doing, this gentleman is making 1,000 cedis a day or 2,000 a day. You want to give him an alternative livelihood that will give him 1,000 cedis over a month. It doesn't make sense. But we must agree that there's a lot of greed that has made people venture into this enterprise. However, the key component of education, which is strong and consistent advocacy, can help cure some of this. I saw a video which I always make reference to again. A gentleman who was bare-chested walking to a site where his champagne was burnt. And he said, hey, into Mahama, to somebody like that, out of illiteracy, he just thinks that, well, I still have money to buy another one. Whether I'm impacting the environment negatively or not, he doesn't care. Education is very key. Now, this education, we must approach this whole thing short, medium, and long-term approaches. Why are we going to school? The purpose of education is to reform and impact society positively. And so when we are going to school now, we used to have the Red Cross, the wildlife clubs, and all that. We can now be enforcing strongly, especially in most impacted regions, forest clubs, wildlife clubs, environmental clubs, etc., in our schools. As we're doing so, we are engaging our traditional authorities, i.e. the chiefs, traditional authorities, opinion leaders, youth groups, etc., on finding resolutions to some of this. I am aware, for instance, President Mahama's program, the Ejumewura program. One may say that is infinitesimal compared to what they will be gaining from that enterprise, which is why this is rather a deterrent for them. But when NIMO is stationed there, preventing them from doing all of this, and you are trying to give them an alternative, some may now be alienable to what is being done. That, okay, let's do
right. So what we are looking at presently,
yes,
you have gone beyond that to give us the blueprint, sort of,
yes,
as to the approach. So, as we were told, NIMOS, entered the Chumamponia forest, then seized excavators in a massive crackdown. They promised that they would deal ruthlessly with the recalcitrant illegal miners, because that was the direction of the lands minister to them. They said they will patrol the Galamsey sites 24/7 with troops, drones, and hotlines. Now, we're getting information, for example, and these are fact checkers. They say on Monday, we were treated to news of arrest and takeover of Gangway by NIMOS. In less than a week, Gangway is back into the hands of Galamseyers. And guess who their spokesperson is? They say an NDC ward chairman, we are told, is giving the history and justifying why Gangway should be left in the hands of youth, the NDC youth. Have you become familiar with this?
I am not. May I ask who especially, who in particular has made this reference? Reason being that I am fully aware of Gangway.
Fact checkers, meaning the organizations enjoy its own fact.
Well, because I am aware that a major crackdown was carried out over there. And there is absolutely no way, I am on your side,
that they can go back.
that they can go back instantly.
Abraham crime.
This is not Abraham.
Abraham crime. What's happening?
Yes, I agree.
Did they go back?
No. You see, that is why I'm telling you that what went on there, every structure has been totally condemned, reduced to ashes.
We just do another one.
Well, and you see, that is why I'm telling you that deployments will be done to make sure that our men, NEMOS, will be permanently stationed at all these enclaves and make sure on rotational basis. The reason for rotational basis is to avoid...
Hold on for a minute. Erastus Asaridonko, Professor Kwesieni, thank you very much for your patience.